So there's a vagabond pick I did like not so long ago. I wanted it like super gritty, pretty bright, bit exaggerated. It turned out really nice. But so I wanted to know how to actually do it. I think Nort, I'm pretty sure Nort got Photoshop offers to have a mess around with as well. So I just need to find the original pick. And again, if you were here for the saturation stuff earlier, like just on the pictures, you'll see a huge difference to the original to this one. Oh, it's going to be a pain to find, I just know it. Just bear with us a couple of guys. There it is. Alright, so that's the original picture. Mighty Store, you're welcome, dude. It's a good good little background for the stream. So there's the original pic. There's the edited one. So you see, super bright, like really like impactful. But we'll go through the stages and I'll just show you like what tiny changes can make really like big effects on just like simple edits and shit. So I'll hide that for now. Rasterize. Hopefully you'll be able to see on the stream everything I'm doing. I'll try and like talk as much as I can, but in fact we'll might have to change the push to talk, yeah. Let's have a look. Oh dude, you can do whatever the fuck you want. There we go. Right, so if you hear us breathing and shit, just let us know and I'll push the talk back on. So basically, super simple this, guys, just to make Eve pics look really nice. There's a few different things you can do, which are pretty easy. You don't need any like years of experience. It's literally just super simple. So the first thing, obviously I was a derp and then my mouse pointer was shown. So we need to get rid of that first. Let's just zoom in here a bit. And we need to use a tool called the clone stamp. And that's this one. And basically what this does is it's going to let us copy bits of the outside and just copy over this little icon. So we're going to set a nice soft brush. And then we're going to hold Alt just to pick a little bit of the space around it. And you can see now when we start painting over, it's selected that little piece. Very simple. The clone stamp is a really good, powerful tool for Photoshop. And there's the mouse pointer off. Next thing we're going to do, which I usually do straight away, because Eve looks drab and shit, we're just going to hit the image adjustments and brightness and contrast. I'm going to whip the brightness up a little bit, probably 20, 25-ish will do. Now it looks pretty washed out at the minute, but don't worry, because we're going to fix all these things. And again, we're going to go into image adjustments, and then the hue and saturation options. And basically this is where you're going to see the picture completely change. You could literally do this and then the picture would be done. So it's all in the saturation. So just to give you like an exaggerated idea of what the saturation does, pretty sure you guys will know it'll just super enhances the colors. But you can see as you go higher and higher, it sort of degrades the picture and you get like artifacts. So for videos and these things, obviously a lot of it depends on the nebula where you are in Eve. Galantia space is always the best to do pictures from because it scales the best with the color range. with the green and stuff. The red's quite deep. So, but you can already see the Vaga starting to pop out, like the yellow parts on the glory skin. And we can go pretty high on this because we're going to be doing a lot of work to fix the artifacting as well, which we shouldn't have too much anyway. So we'll stick it at about 27% for this particular picture, but it's going to change. Like it could just be 15. On some you could like have it all the way up to 40 and things. So this is one way to do it, and there is like a vibrance option as well, which you can do, which does basically the same thing. So we're going to OK that. And then if we scoot to the original, there, that's the original. And that's with the added colour. So I don't know why this option in Eve isn't there, because it makes Eve so much better. Right, so that's one little tip. Now I'm actually going to duplicate my layer here. There it is. And we're going to keep that as a, this is our baseline backup, so if we make any fuck ups or anything we can come back to this. Let's just zoom out with touch here. Right, next thing we're going to do. I don't think I've actually got the nebula for it, so we're going to have to just do the best we can. A lot of the time now I'm using the tilt shift, and that's in your filters. Select the right layer, will be handy. In the blur gallery and tilt shift. That's in the new place in this latest version of Photoshop. And since the ship's on sort of an angle, I can just match the tilt shift up. Basically it's just going to blur the outlines, but we don't want to do it too much. So these extra lines control the fade. Not sure if you can see on the stream, but I'm going to have that one quite wide. And you can also get the light bokeh effect like from the blurred photos. Although it's not going to show too much, yeah. Yeah, it's not going to show at all actually. Nah. You can see them just starting to come. But I'll show you a little trick to get that to work properly in a sec. So I'll just leave that down a bit. Right, so we've still got a blur, but that's, I mean, it's quite predominant now, but we're going to be hiding over that in a minute. Right, so we've got this is the sort of second baseline, and now we're going to use it. This is the next best tool in Photoshop, which is the dodge and burn tools. So if you just hold your left click and over the sponge if you've got it selected, burn and dodge. Basically, burn tool. If you come up here and set it as shadows, anything you click on is it's gonna like crush the darks, like the dark range. So just again exaggerating, you can see it just totally blackens the dark colors and things, but leaves the yellows because that's like a highlight. So if we just undo that a sec, like having the exposure set to 100 is like absolutely crazy. You never want to do that as a rule. So I normally take it down to like 20%, maybe 30ish. Try 30. So what I tend to do on my pictures, I'll like blacken the edges just with the burn tool until we do like a vignette. And I always feel that, especially on Eve pics with the ship always being in the center, it sort of draws your eye in a little bit extra. So if we just go ahead and start clicking around, you can see the edge is getting dark. Just going to do this very rough, guys. That sort of brings the blur in too. So that's perfect. With text's going to be down here as well, so we can have that a little bit darker, but we don't want it like silly dark. So we'll just chuck it like on 12%. Just darken this bit a tiny bit. And as for the ship, we don't really want to make anything darker per se, but we can give it a quick run. Have it super, like 89%. Just give it a couple of clicks. That should sort that out. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to now dodge the highlights. So make sure your highlights are set. 30 is probably a bit strong for this actually. So this is going to bring up all the bright colors, and we're going to use this to bring up the skin of the Vaga. So I'll just give it a couple of runs over. Now it's looking a bit artifacty there, but don't worry, because we're actually, in this picture we're going for a more of a gritty sort of colorization. So if we go over all the yellow bits and the guns, so they stand out, the more you click, the more they get bright. And the cool thing about the zaqq as well, it's got all these like light glows in the engine, and where the like the parts of the engine and shit. So again, if we go dodge, and then we can just set, yeah, 23 should be fine. So we can get it so all these look like they're glowing. I'll just run over them with my mouse real quick. And it just brings the ship up quite a lot. Looks really nice. Again, don't worry about this artifacting, guys. It's going to look really cool in a couple of minutes. Just bring that down a touch just to do the colours a bit. Yeah, it's really starting to pop out now. But this also affects like the background and stuff, so I need to be careful while we're clicking. Very nice. Like when you're actually flying the ship, you don't really notice the inside glows of all the engines and things. And this was actually before the new rework on the lighting effects and things. So already it's looking like really cool. And again, we'll just go. That's the original. Well, that's the one with the added saturation and stuff. And then that's it now with the burn and dodge. So that looks really nice. Like super stands out. You can well tell the difference, especially in the skin. And you can see what I mean by the like having the black around the inside, outside. It sort of drags your eye like further in, so it's not as much like wasted space. It's really cool. It just looks absolutely awesome. And don't be afraid to go back to your image adjustments. Just have a mess around with the brightness again. I think that needs to be touched up a tiny bit. And even going back to your colours and things. In the dodge and burn options, there's also a sponge tool, and basically that just lets you do saturation for certain like area of your, obviously your pencil here. So you can set it to saturate or desaturate, so you could take all these colours back off or put them like higher up instead of doing the whole image with the saturation. So again, we're going to duplicate this just so I can show you the changes as we go. So I'll just call that one Hue. That was with burn and dodge. Right now, since we've got a little bit of, just a tiny bit of artifacting, which isn't really noticeable, but what I like to do as well, just to smooth everything out. If we go back to our filter gallery, and then blur, then surface blur. Again, I'll exaggerate the effect, just so you can see what it's actually doing. And basically what this does, this is especially good for like portraits and things, if you're just touching up little pictures of like doing any like selfies or whatnot. It sort of really smooths out skin and stuff, and it's really good for that, but it does work for Eve. But you've just got to be super subtle with it. Yeah, it's like way too much. In fact, the window's like a little bit of a clusterfuck to work with. But it's so subtle, like if you get it right, it looks really nice. More goes like more of a watery colour. So you just got to mess around with the radius and the threshold here. You can see, especially the nebula, like starting to smooth out, but that's a little bit too much. Just want a tiny bit. Set the threshold up there a little. Yeah, you can see down here it's like way too much, so you just need to keep an eye on what's changing. Oh, coffin fit there, guys. So let's put that down to 5. Yeah, it's good. Like some pictures like this, it doesn't really make too much of a effect, but other ones it does have like a huge effect on. Right, so that's with surface blur, so we're going to duplicate that again. Keep all these backups in case we like make some crazy mistakes. Just give us 1 sec there, guys. Alright, so I can't actually remember what the next bits were I did. Right, so we've got the nebula to put on the background and the text. So we can grab the text first, I think. This one was already pre-made by myself like ages ago. I'll just keep it on this picture here. But if you Google the Eve logo and stuff, you can find like PNGs and things like that you can just drag in. But I like made this myself ages ago. So it's way too big. But that's good. And the text, if you want to know the font, it's Deca Light Regular. So Vagabond obviously. And we're going to use our text options up at the top. Just to make these letters spaced out a bit. You can't just use space. Literally like type V space then here. That's quicker just to do it like this, I think. So we'll probably go for like 280. Maybe a bit more. 310. Yeah, that looks nice. Let's make sure that's all centered. It's pretty nice. So a good thing with my logo, I made these bars like, so we can change these just to suit the text. Let's drag it out a tiny bit. There we go. So that's what text group. And then next thing we're going to do is mess around with the actual boosters. So we're going to make it so if you look on this one, I've got some glow coming out of them, and it actually looks like the sort of boosting out the engines instead of just coming out the booster. So it's got all the glow stuff going on in the diffusion of the lights. And that one is in my, where's that again? I think that's in my Eve is Easy template thumbnails for Suetonia. And that's the one. Really cool flare this, I've been using it for like years and years, it goes on everything. So we can see just by putting it on, in fact yeah, I'll show you the, pardon me, this is the original picture. Obviously I had some like copyright shit down there, so obviously I just Googled it out. Not enough for us, yeah, for sure I do. So what we need to do, you can get blending options in Photoshop. So you just need to pick any of these. Screen is normally the good one, and what that'll do, it'll take all of the black out, so you're just left with actual flare, which is pretty nice. But still doesn't give with like the super glow effect. So what we need to use on this is linear dodge with add, and there you can see it sort of brightens it up a little bit more. But it is a little bit too big, I feel. So let's just resize it down a bit. Resize it this way. So we don't want this like a massive in your face thing. Excuse me. So duplicate that layer again. Make it a little bit smaller for the back engine. There we go, that's what boost does. So it looks really cool, like with these little light flares coming out. Like I like that. It's in every picture I do, Like when you see it on Twitter or whatnot, or like in people's streams, they always use this flare somewhere, like on thumbnails and shit. No, done. So it's coming along, guys. It's coming along. We've got our text on. We've got our boosters done. Our colorization's all done. We've smoothed it out a bit. Next up, just to get the sort of grittiness, we're going to add some lens dirt. I'll show you exactly what that is in one sec. Where is it? That's the one. Okay, so basically it does what it says on the tin. It's like a lens dirt effect, but we're not going to use all of it. We're just going to use like part of it. And again, we just need to go through the options just to see which one's the best. Is the screen going to be the best because it looks quite bright, or is linear dodge going to be better? I think the dodge is looking good because it's sort of speckly and grainy, and like we say, we're going for oh, nice, dude. Yeah, cheers. Hopefully I'll get this uploaded on YouTube at some point. I'm trying to do like a super beginners thing that everyone can like sort of do. Right, so with this again, we've got the issue. Fuck, I just need to make a new layer here quickly. Let's make this completely black so I can show you what these blend modes actually do. So if we'll hide this, in fact I'm just going to put those in a group so I can see. Right, so we've got our dirt. Obviously we don't want to show all of it because it's like really OP. And when we actually do the dodge and stuff, you can still see once it's positioned where we want it. So actually I want to change this around. So we're going to flip that horizontal. So most of the lights actually looks like it may be coming from the boosters, but it's still quite a lot. So I think around here was where I had it on the original picture. And even though we've got it set to dodge, it's still quite bright. So we can just go adjustments and then contrast and just go all the way up with the contrast. And you can do this a couple of times. So it gets grittier the more you do it. But you can still see we're left with this like really sharp edge from the picture. It's really sharp edge, so we need to actually rub that bit out so it blends in lovely. And what we need to do with this, instead of using a solid brush to erase it, so you're left with that still again the sharp edge, I'm actually going to pick one of these soft brushes, and then we just need to make it a little bit bigger. Good size. And what that does, you can see it sort of allows the blending, so you don't get that super sharp edge. And the bigger you make it, the more it will blend in. So just need to make sure there's no sharp edges at all. And now when I enable this, you can see it blends in a little bit more. You can take it down a little bit extra. Hey Draggy, what's up? The skin is the Glory edition on the Vagabond. I think it's called the Glory. Let's have a look here quickly. Yeah, the Valkyrie Glory. I think you can get that for a lot of the Mimitar ships. It's very nice. Very nice indeed. There we go. So now we've got our lens stuff on with dirt. We can leave that for now because once we put the nebula stuff on, we might going to have to change it. The actual colour of it just to match. And I don't think I've actually got the nebula that I used in the first place. So we're going to have to go with this blue one for now. And we'll drag that above everything. Right, so obviously the nebula's blue and we need to make it yellow. So we're just going to go to the hue and saturation. And this works out really cool because it sort of like artifacts the picture quite a lot when you change the hue massively. So you can see like all these crazy dark bits and it looks grainy, but that's exactly what we're going for, so using a different colour original is really good in this. We'll just try and make it as yellow as we can. Ish. Oh, it's been difficult actually. About there will do. Knock up the lightness a touch. Right, so there's with Nebula. Rasterize. Right, and again, what we need to do is start playing around with the options for blending. And let's just try the add one. So you can see we're getting pretty close now to the original, well, the final edit. This was the final one, so we're pretty close. It's just a few more little things we need to do. Fuck, we can leave them off for now. Right, so one of the issues we've got is since we've overlaid the nebula, it's actually overlaying on the ship skin, or on the ship model itself. And we don't want that. So what we need to do, we actually need to use the vagabond to trace and rub out the vagabond shape on the nebula layer, which was above it, right? So again, we're going to use a soft brush, because if we use a hard brush, it just ends up looking like that, and that's terrible. So if we use a hard brush, just get the size right. You can use your brackets to make the brush bigger and smaller. So what we don't want to still, because it's been quite difficult, it's going to stand up loads that we've actually rubbed it out. We're just going to lower the opacity of the brush so it doesn't rub out as much. And we can control it ourselves with each click. In fact, we could probably go a little bit higher. So make sure we're doing this on the nebula layer, guys. Hey Red Blazer, what's up? Nice to see you here. So again, we're just going to keep going over the ship, and I'll actually show you the nebula layer without the ship on. And it doesn't matter if we don't get all the bits, but actually, like especially on the fins, because they're sort of transparent, we want to leave those. But like on the main body of the ship, we want it pretty well rubbed out. So obviously nebulas don't go in the foreground. But again, like for this picture especially, I was going like gritty. And of course I'm doing this pretty quick because it's on stream. Obviously I took my time on the original, well on the Photoshop one of the other one. And it looks like, it's really cool because it looks like it's all glowing around the ship and shit. Which is nice. Oh, I just got back from the gym, damn son. Do you even lift? So we'll just crack on a bit more with that. The fins, we're going to rub out a little bit, but not loads, so we're going to probably have it 15%. Just so you can actually get the shape of them a little bit more. But it looks cool, like since they're like super transparent anyway. We're also going to rub out the bits on the boosters. We can actually go like a much higher opacity for that. So I really want the boosters to like stand out from everything else. So they're like on the edges of the ship where I've left like the nebula bits in, it just gives that effect as though it's actually the nebula's glowing onto the ship. Same up the top here, but we can actually check it. Because I think on the top here it needs a little bit more work. So if we actually hide with Vaga layer. So this is the nebula picture now with the Vaga stuff rubbed out. Lol, Dan. Yeah, we're going to rub out. And we're going to take away this part of the picture. So you can see some bits here which I've missed, which we can go back and take out. And again, you can see with the soft brush, like it just sort of fades out and gives that impression as though we're actually like there. So we're going to enable the zaqq again. Make sure we're on the nebula layer still. And we'll just give this a little bit more love. Looked a little bit glowy there. Yeah, looks good. So we definitely want to leave these bits on the bottom. You can get like super ridiculous with how much time you spend doing this stuff. Yeah, I think we're pretty good. Sure we can see that gun. Right, so again it's looking pretty like diabolical and terrible with the colour change still. And even though we're going for that gritty look, it's not really where we want it. And also the tilt shift effect sort of disappeared now because the nebula's on top, so all we need to do is like literally on that layer is go to our blur gallery and give it a bit tilt shift. We can sort of match the trajectory of the ship. So buzz it down a bit. Oh, those bits is blurry. Not sure what the bokeh will do. Yeah, you can see the bokeh lights starting to come on there. That gives a really nice like effect. And it's really cool, you can actually give yourself like these bokeh effects just by doing little white dots before you actually do the tilt shift, and they show up like awesome. Let's just get a little bit closer in here. I'm still not happy. These bits just need a little bit extra. In fact, I'm probably just going to go really high in the opacity for this. Seems to be losing a bit of detail there. Right. So I'm happy-ish at the minute. So next thing we need to do, just to take out a little bit of the artifacting again, is use the surface blur. What am I going? Blur, surface blur. I don't think I'm going to live this one down quickly. Oh, we've got a little bit of super saturation there from the light bokeh I didn't see. But you can see as we start changing stuff here now, it's going like, that's quite nice actually, but it's a little bit smooth. Definitely want some texture in there. So we're close-ish to the way it looked earlier. Also, just to get a little bit extra yellow, we can use the photo filters, which is like a super cheap way. And there's all these like different colors you can do. So we can use the yellow filter, and if we max it up, it's not actually doing too much actually. Let's scoot down so you can literally just spam down and see what looks good. Green's actually looking rather nice. Let's give them that green tint. So we'll pop that on green actually. And enable boosters and text and stuff. And I think we're actually pretty close to the final. But again, with like the no nebula on the outside, we had it like dark, so it like drew the eye into the picture. So we just need to duplicate that effect on the nebula layer, because that's all like full around the outside. So we'll just go for a dodge tool, or if you can just grab yourself a vignette and overlay that. But I like doing it with a dodge tool because the burn tool, sorry, because it's sort of like erratic and stuff, and it's not like perfect, so it suits, I think it suits Eve a little bit more. So again, we're going to use the burn tool on the shadow mode. Exposure, we can go pretty high on this because we actually wanted to make it super dark around the edges. And we'll make sure we're on the soft brush. And there we go. Just going to start going around, darkening all the edges. Yeah, I've definitely fucked up on this bit, yeah. That's alright for now. So it's a good idea to do, like, make sure the background of the text's like super dark as well. I'm just going to keep going until we've got a really nice thick edge around. And it doesn't have to be perfect. You can see the black edge here is like much more depth than it is here, obviously. Like there's hardly any on this bit, but that's fine. Like having it random's really good. And go like really crazy. It's super dark around these bits. And that's it. Looks a little bit rougher than the other one, obviously. See how close we actually got. Yeah, so it's way more orange. Oh shit, I haven't got the dirt enabled either, have I? Where's me dirt? There it is, yeah. So the dirt's still looking pretty crazy. So we can just move this around as we see fit. In fact, do I need that over? Yeah, so you can have a mess around. You can actually, we could literally just change the size of this. Just so it's not like super OP. And again, because the flares are running the linear dodge, and so's the dirt layer, all the colours like sort of blend in and get brighter with each other, which is nice. So it sort of works with the boosters. And if you want to go a little bit extra crazy on the dirt layer, you can actually change the hue and saturation, more so the hue, just to match up with the nebula even. So it goes a little bit more yellowy greeny. So there's tons of stuff you can do. It starts the artifact quite heavy there because of the high amount of contrast we've put on. Somewhere like that looks pretty cool. So it's a long way from where we actually started off. So we'll just hide all this. In fact, let's regroup all this stuff again. So we'll go through the stages. Did I save the original? No. So this was the added hue. And then we'll put the burn and dodge stuff on. And we gave it a little surface blur. It's really like hard to see there actually on the stream. And then that's what and then that's where nebula and stuff on, which looks really cool. So yeah.